the day my husband started living under the same roof as his mistress. I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Rodrigo handed me a coffee that morning. "Sol, I need to talk to you," he said. I had never heard him speak in that tone in our 23-year marriage. "Beatrice is staying here now, as your caregiver. Beatrice, my friend of 25 years, the woman I called my sister. Now, she was going to be my full-time caregiver." I couldn't believe this outrage Rodrigo was stating so seriously. "I'm not dead yet," I said. "But you're forgetting, Sol," he said, without even looking me in the eye. "The doctor said so. Someone has to take care of you." I understood then. They had both buried me, long ago. Beatrice arrived that evening, with her own suitcases. Rodrigo helped her settle into the guest room. They whispered to each other, as if I wasn't even there. Their whispers were barely audible, even from just behind the door, but I was taking note of everything. "This is yours," said Rodrigo. "Yours, in my house." Beatrice turned to me with that fake, concerned look. "Don't worry, Sol. I'm here now. I'll take care of everything." Everything, meaning my money, my bonds, my IMSS bonds that those IDIOTS didn't even know existed. That night, sitting alone in my bedroom, something became clear. This betrayal was not an end for me, but a beginning. I am Sol. I am 52 years old and worked for 27 years as a senior secretary at the Mexican Social Security Institute. I am the woman who filed every document, knew every legal loophole, never forgot a single detail, and now they think I've forgotten. That will be their biggest mistake. The quiet whispers Beatrice heard as she carried her suitcase to the guest room took me back 30 years. I remembered when I saw that suitcase today. It wasn't the same suitcase, of course, but it was the same color, dark blue. I remember Beatrice arriving on her first day at IMSS in March 1995 with a cheap suitcase of the same color. The memories in my mind sometimes become foggy, but moments and numbers with high emotional intensity remain, as if locked in a drawer. That day, my desk at the office was covered with documents, new retirement files, bond calculations, civil servant payrolls. In the narrow corridor of the secretarial department, dimly lit by the faint light coming through the windows, the chemical smell of the photocopier filled my nose. My hands were stained with ink, as usual. That morning, Rodrigo had said, "Sol, take a breath. You're getting tired." I smiled at him. Tiredness was not a problem for me. Work was the only thing in my life I could control. Around noon, Hector from Human Resources called out, "Sol, we have a new person. Can you give them an orientation? No one else has time." When I looked up, I saw her, Beatrice, 25 years old, her eyes filled with fear, her hands nervously clutching the handles of her bags. Her suit was cheap, but clean. Her shoes were old. Her hair was pulled back tightly into a bun, as if not a single strand should move. "Hello," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm Beatrice." I started work today. In the archives, I looked at her. I recognized the helplessness in her eyes. I had once been a stranger in this building, too. "Come on," I said. "Let me show you everything." That day, I skipped lunch and spent 4 hours with her in the archives room. I showed her the filing system, the code numbers, how to categorize bond documents. She took notes on everything, her hands red from holding the pen. "It's too complicated," he said at one point, hopelessly. "I'll never learn this." "You will," I said. "I didn't know anything when I started either. But if you're patient, this system will become like your natural language." That evening, after work, I found him crying in the hallway. He was leaning against the archive room door, silently shedding tears. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Nothing," he said, but he didn't wipe his face. "It's just, my landlord wants this month's rent," and I haven't been paid yet. I have nowhere to stay for a few days. What did I feel at that moment? Maybe a motherly feeling, maybe just human compassion. I don't know. But the only thing I knew was that I said, "Stay with us tonight." I called Rodrigo. "A friend of mine needs a place to stay for a few days," I said. "Is that okay?" "Of course, Saul," Rodrigo said. His voice was warm then. "If you want, our home is open to everyone." Beatrice came to our house that night. I put her up in the guest room. I gave her clean towels, a spare toothbrush, and one of my pajamas for the night. While I was heating up soup for her in the kitchen, she said, "I don't know how to thank you." Her eyes were filled with tears again. "You don't need to thank me," I said. "Just focus on your work. We'll take care of the rest." Those few days turned into 2 weeks, then a month. Beatrice stayed with us until she got her first paycheck. During that time, I taught her all the ins and outs of IMSS in the mornings. Which manager wanted which document, which files were sensitive, which colleagues to stay away from. Beatrice took notes, listened, learned. Then she said to me, "Sol, you're my sister." The day I met you, everything changed for me. In those days, I believed her words because I felt the same way. Beatrice was my sister, even though she wasn't. Her success was my success. But now, today, as I carry her blue suitcase to the guest room in my house, I think, the woman who called me sister back then now makes me feel like a stranger in my own home. The door I opened for her back then has now become the door to the cell I am imprisoned in. Pain? Pain is a simple word. This is like acid burning inside me. With every breath, every memory, it drips anew. The soup I gave her that night is now like poison, knotting in my throat. What came after Beatrice's suitcase was triggered by Rodrigo's voice. Last night, at the dinner table, Rodrigo said to Beatrice, "You are the woman who saved my life." That fake gratitude flashed in his eyes. It was as if I wasn't there, as if I were an invisible piece of furniture. But those words brought 2003 to mind, Rodrigo's terrible dark year. It was July that year. The Mexican economy was in the grip of crisis. Rodrigo's construction company had gone bankrupt. His boss had fled without paying any salaries, and Rodrigo had been unemployed for 6 whole months. I remember it in our living room. Rodrigo on that old couch, staring at the ceiling, blowing smoke from his cigarette. He didn't usually smoke, but he did back then. "What are we going to do, Sol?" he said, his voice cracking. "The rent, electricity, water. How are we going to pay for all that?" I looked at him. What I saw in his eyes was a helplessness that tore me apart. Rodrigo, 29 years old, that strong, proud man, was now wandering around the house like a convict. "Don't worry," I said. "I'll take care of it." "How will you take care of it, Saul?" "Your salary isn't enough for 2 people. "It's enough," I said. And it was, because I had already calculated everything. At that time, my salary at IMSS was average, but I had a small fund I had been saving for years, government bonds. Thanks to my position at IMSS, I knew which bonds would rise and when, which pension funds would pay dividends, which bonds were the right ones to invest in. I had saved by taking advantage of small legal loopholes that no one else knew about. During those crisis months, I used all my savings. I paid our rent, our bills, even Rodrigo's cigarette money from this fund. I never complained. I never said, "I did this." But it wasn't enough, because Rodrigo's pride was broken. Every night when I came home, I found him in the same chair, in the same position. I showed him job listings. "Apply here," I said. "This company is hiring." "They don't want me, Saul," he said. "I'm old, inexperienced, worthless." "You're not worthless," I said. But he didn't believe me. In September, one day when I came home from IMSS, Rodrigo was in the living room again. But this time, there was something different on his face. There was a glimmer of hope. "Sol," he said. "A friend called. There's a small construction job. It doesn't pay much, but it could be a start." "Then take it," I said. "Every start has to come from somewhere." But the job was really small. After that month, Rodrigo only earned enough to pay our electricity bill. Everything else still came from me. Rent, water, food, transportation, everything. One night in October, Rodrigo came home with his arms covered in cement. He was too tired to walk. As I washed him in the bathroom, I felt the tension in his shoulders. His hands were cracked. The undersides of his fingernails were black. "How was today?" I asked. "Exhausting," he said. He didn't say anything else, but there was shame in his eyes. Shame for taking money from me. That night, as he lay down next to me in bed, he whispered, "Sol, I've let you down." "No," I said. "You've never let me down. A man should provide for his family, but I can't. We're a team, Rodrigo," I said. "Sometimes I carry you, sometimes you carry me. That's how it works." That night, he hugged me, and I felt him crying on my shoulder. He was crying. My strong, proud husband was crying. What did I feel at that moment? A mixture. Pity, love, responsibility. Maybe a little pride, too, because I was the one keeping our family together. I was the one who reached out to Rodrigo when he fell, and he knew that. I felt he was grateful to me. But now, today, as he tells Beatrice at the dinner table, "You're the woman who saved my life." Without looking at me, I think, wasn't I the one who saved your life back then? While you sat helplessly in that chair, didn't I protect you from that world that forced you to work with those cement-covered hands and injured nails? That night you cried. Wasn't I the one who told you, "We're a team"? And now, the other half of the team has been replaced by another woman at a time I didn't know about. This pain is like a silent scream. No one hears it, but I feel it growing a little more every day in the center of my chest. It's as if every bite I swallow is knotted in my throat, with the weight of every moment Rodrigo has forgotten. This morning, Daniela called me. Her voice sounded worried on the phone. "Tia Sol, how are you? Are you okay?" Daniela, my niece. Daniela, who grew up without a mother, like my own daughter. Hearing her voice brought back the year 2010, the year my sister Carmen died. Carmen was 3 years younger than me, but she was much more fragile than I was. She was emotional, quick to cry, quick to laugh. When Daniela was 13, Carmen was diagnosed with breast cancer. Stage 3. The doctors said, "There's a chance, but aggressive treatment is needed." Aggressive treatment meant a lot of money. Chemotherapy, drugs, hospital bills. Carmen's husband, that poor man, was a bus driver. He had no money at all. One day, Carmen called me. Her voice was tearful. "Sol, I need to ask you something, but I can't ask," I said. "Money. For Daniela. If I'm gone, that girl has to stay in school. She has to go to college. But my husband won't have enough money." "Carmen," I said, "you're not going to die. You're going to get better." "But what if I die?" Her voice was so broken when she said that. I started crying too. "You're not going to die," I said again, but we both knew it was a lie. After that day, I started sending half of my IMSS salary to Carmen every month for her treatment. Rodrigo didn't know. No one knew. I just made a transfer from the bank every month and told Carmen, "Don't worry, we're here." But it wasn't enough, because Carmen's illness progressed rapidly. The chemotherapy didn't work. The cancer spread to her liver and lungs. The doctors said, "There is an experimental treatment, but it's very expensive." How expensive? 200,000 pesos. 200,000 pesos. At that time, even my annual salary wasn't that much, but I found the money. How did I find it? Because I cashed in my IMSS bonds. I spent everything I had saved up until then, everything I had set aside for my retirement. I told Rodrigo. I borrowed money for my sister. He asked, "Sol, that's too much. How are we going to pay it back?" "We'll pay it back," I said. "Somehow we'll pay it back." Carmen lived 6 more months with that experimental treatment. 6 months. And during those 6 months, I visited her in the hospital every weekend. I held her hand. I stroked her hair. I told Daniela, "Your mom will be okay." But Daniela could see the lie in my eyes. The day Carmen died, Daniela hugged me in the hospital hallway and cried. She was 16. "Tia, my mom is gone," she said. "What am I going to do now?" "You're with me," I said. "You're always with me." From that day on, I paid for Daniela's school expenses, her college tuition, her books, her clothes. Sometimes Rodrigo would say, "Sol, this is too much. We don't even have our own child, but you're taking care of someone else's." "She's not someone else's child," I said. "She's my daughter." That year, I became the person who worked the longest hours at IMSS because I had to get the money from somewhere. I stayed at the office late every night, took on extra work, and worked overtime wherever possible. My body ached, my eyes were tired, but when I thought of Daniela, I told myself, "Keep going, Sol. This girl is your responsibility." How did I feel? Exhausted, a deep, bone-deep exhaustion, but also a sense of purpose, because Daniela was someone who gave meaning to my life. After Carmen left, Daniela was my reason for living. But now, today, when I hear Daniela's worried voice on the phone, I wonder, where was Rodrigo back then? Where was Beatrice when he told me, "This is too much"? Beatrice was already in our lives back then. She was my sister. But was she by my side when Carmen died? Did she comfort me at the funeral? No. She just said, "I'm so sorry, Sol," and then went to work. Because back then, she had nothing to gain from my pain. Now, when I hear Daniela's worried voice, a piece of me breaks, because I know that Daniela is my only real family. Rodrigo and Beatrice are just the ones who have my wallet. This pain gnaws at me. It's as if all my sacrifices are now like labor that hasn't been put to good use. All that money I spent on Carmen, all those nights I gave up for Daniela. What for? So that Rodrigo and Beatrice could now dance on my pain, in my house, with my money? Now, here, sitting alone in my bed, all these memories are suffocating me. Rodrigo and Beatrice are watching TV in the living room. I can hear their laughter, in my house, with my money, on top of my sacrifices. And I wonder, do these people ever remember what I did? Or am I just an ATM to them? A tool? Something to be thrown away, after use? Maybe I am. Maybe I always have been. But now, something has changed. Because I'm supposed to forget everything since I have Alzheimer's. But actually, I haven't forgotten anything. And soon, they will understand that too. The first week, Beatrice started bringing me my medication. At breakfast, when I sat down at the table, Beatrice came over. She had a small tray in her hand. On it were white pills and a glass of water. "Good morning, Sol," she said in that artificially sweet voice. "Don't forget to take your medication." I looked at her. "I take my own medicine," I said. "No, Sol," she said, her voice a little harsher now. "The doctor said someone has to remind you. Otherwise, you forget. I don't forget." "You do forget," said Rodrigo from behind his newspaper. He wasn't even looking at me. "You skipped it twice last week." Was that a lie? I didn't know. Maybe it was true. But what bothered me wasn't forgetting my pills. What bothered me was that tray in Beatrice's hand, as if I were a child, as if I couldn't even hold a glass of water by myself. "Take these," said Beatrice, holding the pills out to my mouth. I took the pills. I swallowed them. Beatrice smiled and took the tray back. That evening, while taking out the trash in the kitchen, I saw something. Medicine boxes. Empty medicine boxes. My Alzheimer's medicine. There were price tags on the boxes, and on the receipt underneath, it said, IMSS, discounted prescription. Holding that receipt in my hand, I realized something. Beatrice was getting these pills using my IMSS health insurance. My insurance, my discount entitlement, earned through years of work. And now, she was bringing these pills as if they were her own money, acting as if she were doing me a favor. That night, lying in bed, I thought, I worked at IMSS for 27 years. Those premiums deducted from my salary every month have now become a tool of control in Beatrice's hands. She is bringing me medicine using my own entitlement, and I feel like I have to thank her. Do you know what helplessness is? It's that suffocating feeling you get when someone else takes ownership of something you bought with your own money. It's as if every pill you swallow is actually destroying a part of your dignity. It's as if every morning, when I take that cup from Beatrice's hand, I'm actually surrendering a part of my freedom to her. But I didn't say anything. Because what could I say? "This is my insurance," I would say. Then Rodrigo would say, "Sol, you're a sick woman. Beatrice is helping you." And I would feel guilty again. That's how it started. With a small, seemingly innocent act of control. In the third week, Rodrigo asked me for something. After dinner, we were sitting in the living room. Rodrigo was watching TV. Beatrice was washing dishes in the kitchen. I was trying to read a book, but I couldn't follow the lines, because my mind was constantly elsewhere. "Sol," Rodrigo said, his voice serious. "I need to talk to you." I looked up. "Yes?" "The key to the safe. Where is it?" When I heard that sentence, it was as if my heart stopped beating. The safe. My safe. That small gray metal safe hidden in our bedroom closet behind my old clothes. What was inside? My whole life. My passport, old pay stubs, marriage certificates, and most importantly, the bond certificates. Those high-interest, IMSS-managed bond certificates that no one knew about. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Sol, you're a forgetful woman now," said Rodrigo. His voice was soft but firm. "The doctor said we should keep important documents in a safe place. Beatrice and I need to check these. For your sake." "No," I said. Rodrigo frowned. "No?" "No, that's my safe." "MY documents, Sol," he said, his voice a little harsher now. "This is nonsense. You're a sick woman. Someone needs to help you. Give me the key to your safe. I won't." At that moment, Beatrice came out of the kitchen. She had a glass of water in her hand. "Sol," she said, in that fake concerned voice of hers, "why are you being so stubborn? Rodrigo is just trying to help. I don't want his help." "But you're sick, Sol," said Beatrice. She came over to me and took my hand. Her hand was cold. "We're here for your own good. Why don't you trust us?" I looked at his face. That face. 25 years ago, on the first day, that face had cried and hugged me. Now, that same face was demanding something from me. And I realized then, this wasn't an offer of help. It was a demand, an order. "Where's the key, Sol?" Rodrigo asked again. I didn't answer, because I knew, if I gave him that key, I would lose everything. That safe was my last line of defense. Those documents were proof of my existence. Rodrigo stood up. "Sol, I'm asking you one last time. Where's the key?" "I don't know," I said. I was lying. But what else could I say? Rodrigo looked at me. Something changed in his eyes. Anger, disappointment. I didn't know. But at that moment, Rodrigo walked towards the bedroom. Beatrice followed him. I got up and tried to run after them, but my legs were shaking. When I entered the bedroom, Rodrigo was rummaging through the closet. He was scattering my clothes, my boxes, my belongings, everywhere. "Stop," I said. "What are you doing?" "I'm finding the safe," he said. "No, you can't rummage through there." But it was too late. Rodrigo found the gray metal safe at the back of the closet. He pulled it out. He put it on the floor. "Open it," he said. "No." Rodrigo turned to me. His face was red. "Sul, this is stupid. Everything in this house belongs to both of us. Open the safe." "It's mine," I said. My voice was shaking. "It's my safe." "My documents." "Sul," said Beatrice, approaching me. "Calm down. No one is taking anything from you. We're just checking." But I knew. This wasn't just checking. This was an attack on my last private space. Rodrigo searched for something. Then he pulled something out of the closet, a large, sturdy crowbar, and right before my eyes, he began to break the safe's lock. The sound he made as he forced the edge of the safe with the crowbar was louder than my heartbeat. "Stop!" I shouted. "Stop, please!" But he didn't stop. A few minutes later, the safe door was forced open with a loud metallic clang. The safe was open. What was inside? Documents, bond certificates, bank statements, old pay stubs, passports. My entire life was sitting inside that little safe. Rodrigo took out the documents. He began examining them one by one. "What are these?" he asked. "Bonds," I said. My voice was barely audible. "How much?" "I don't know." Rodrigo looked at the documents. Then he turned to Beatrice. "Look at this," he said. "Almost 1,000,000 pesos worth of bonds." Beatrice looked at me, her eyes shining. "Sul, were you hiding these from us?" "No," I said. These were my retirement fund. My savings. But these are marital assets," said Rodrigo. "Meaning, they belong to both of us." In that moment, I felt the deepest helplessness in the world. For 20 years, I had saved a little each month. Using my knowledge from IMSS, I had invested wisely, knowing which bonds would rise. And now, Rodrigo was looking at those bonds and saying, "These belong to both of us." As if he had done nothing to save that money. As if I had done nothing, working all those years, spending every penny carefully, building a future. Rodrigo gathered the documents. "I'll keep these," he said. "You might lose them." "No," I said. "They're mine." "Sul, you're sick," he said. He looked into my eyes, and in that look, there was no love anymore, only determination. "I'll keep these safe." He took the documents. He closed the safe. And he left the room. Beatrice followed him. I stood there, alone, in front of a broken safe. I felt empty, as if someone had taken me out from inside. That night, I cried in bed. I cried silently, because I knew that if I cried out loud, they would label me a hysterical sick woman. In the 4th week, Rodrigo took me to the doctor. Dr. Morales had been our family doctor for years. He was in his 40s, a trustworthy man. Or so I thought. Rodrigo was with me in the office. So was Beatrice. They both talked to the doctor, as if I wasn't even there. "Dr. Morales," said Rodrigo, "Sol's condition is getting worse. She keeps forgetting things. Sometimes she can't even remember what day it is I looked at him." "That's a lie," I said. "I remember everything." "Sol, calm down," said Beatrice, holding my hand. "No one is attacking you here." Dr. Morales turned to me. "Sol, what day is it today?" "Thursday," I said. "The date?" I paused. "The date? What month?" At that moment, the fogginess in my mind felt real. Small, routine details were a maze to me. "I don't know," I said. The doctor took notes. Okay, Saul. I'm going to ask you some more questions. Are you ready? The next 10 minutes were torture. The doctor asked me simple questions. Count down from 100 in increments of 7. Repeat these words. Draw this shape. I was able to answer some of the questions. I couldn't answer others. And every time I couldn't, I saw that look of satisfaction on Rodrigo and Beatrice's faces. It was as if my failure was a victory for them. After the examination, the doctor turned to Rodrigo. The situation is seriously worrying, he said. Saul's ability to live independently is declining. Making financial decisions or managing important documents could be risky. So? Asked Rodrigo. So, said the doctor, lowering his voice, but loud enough for me to hear. You might consider a power of attorney. It would be safer for you to make Saul's legal decisions. Power of attorney. That word set off an alarm in my head. No, I said. I don't want power of attorney. Saul, said Rodrigo softly but firmly. This is for your own good. No, I raised my voice. I can make my own decisions. Saul, calm down, said Beatrice. I won't calm down. You're trying to take my money. You're treating me like an old person, like a child. Dr. Morales looked at me. There was pity in his eyes, but there was something else behind it too, as if to say, this woman really is ill. Saul, no one is trying to take your money, but your illness is progressing, and unfortunately, you may make worse decisions in the future. The power of attorney is a tool that will protect you. It won't protect me, I said. It will condemn me. But no one was listening, because at that moment, in their eyes, I really was a sick woman, a hysterical, delusional, deluded sick woman. As I left the office, Rodrigo said to me, Saul, we're going to do this. It's best for you. At that moment, something inside me snapped. It wasn't just helplessness I felt anymore. There was a kind of anger now. Because I was a woman who had worked at IMSS for 27 years, I had learned all these legal documents, all these intricacies of the system. And now, this man, together with a doctor who was messing with my head, was trying to take control of my whole life by labeling me as sick. But again, I didn't say anything, because I knew there was nothing I could do anymore. Or so I thought. In the 5th week, Daniela came to visit me. That day, the doorbell rang early in the morning. Beatrice opened it. Daniela, she said with feigned joy. How are you? I'm fine, Beatrice. Can I see Tia Sol? Of course, come in. When Daniela came in, my heart lifted the moment I saw her. My niece, Daniela, whom I raised like my own daughter after my sister died. I hugged her. Daniela, I said, I missed you so much. Me too, Tia, she said. There was worry in her eyes. How are you? Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, but I wasn't. And Daniela knew it. We sat in the living room. Beatrice brought us tea. Make yourselves comfortable, she said. But she didn't leave. She stood there, watching us. Daniela looked at me. Tia, I've been trying to call you a lot lately, but you don't answer your phone. My phone? I said. Then I remembered. My phone. Where was it? I don't know. Maybe I lost it. Although I thought Rodrigo had turned off my phone without my knowledge and put it in a drawer, I wasn't entirely sure. This vagueness worked in their favor. Daniela turned to Beatrice. Tia, where is Sol's phone? Oh, said Beatrice with that feigned innocence. Sol keeps losing her phone. We put it in a safe place to prevent unnecessary calls. Unnecessary calls? Said Daniela, her voice hardening. Am I an unnecessary call? No, of course not, said Beatrice. But Sol gets confused sometimes. She dials random numbers. We're just trying to protect her. Daniela turned to me. Tia, did you ask for this? I didn't answer. because I didn't know. Had I lost the phone? Or had Rodrigo taken it? My memory was foggy. At that moment, Rodrigo came home. "Daniela," he said, smiling. "What a surprise." "Rodrigo, why is Tia Sol's phone turned off?" Daniela asked. "Oh," Rodrigo said casually. "Sol can't use the phone properly anymore. We're keeping her safe, but don't worry, if you want to reach us, we're here." "You?" said Daniela. Her voice trembled with anger. "Tia Sol is my aunt. I want to talk to her, not you." Rodrigo's face changed. "Daniela, we're looking after Sol, and we expect you to abide by our rules. Sol is a sick woman now. She shouldn't be stressed. And you, constantly calling and upsetting her, isn't good for her." "I'm not upsetting her," said Daniela. "You are," said Beatrice. "When you called last week, Sol was upset for 2 days. She cried thinking about you. It's bad for her health." Daniela looked at me. Her eyes were filled with tears. "Tia, is it true? Am I upsetting you?" I didn't answer, because I didn't know. Had I really cried? Maybe. But I cried because I missed Daniela, not because of her. Rodrigo approached Daniela. "Look, Daniela, we love you, but Sol's health is our priority. If you want to visit her, let us know first. We'll arrange a suitable time." "Okay?" said Daniela, incredulous. "Are you telling me when I can see my own aunt?" "Yes," said Rodrigo, his voice now clear, "because we are the ones who live in this house, and we are Sol's caregivers." Daniela looked at me one last time. Something broke in her eyes. Then she stood up. "Tia, I love you," she said, "and I'm here for you. Always." She walked toward the door. Rodrigo and Beatrice saw her off. After the door closed, Beatrice said, "That girl is very emotional. It's not good for Sol." As I sat there alone in the living room, I realized something. I was now isolated from Daniela too. I had no phone. My visitors were monitored. I was living in my own home, like a prisoner. And in that moment, I began to feel not just helplessness, but anger. But still, I thought, what can I do? I'm just a sick woman. No one is listening to me. No one believes me. Maybe I really am sick. Maybe this is paranoia. But a voice inside me said, "No, Sol, you're not sick. You're being exploited." But that voice wasn't strong enough yet. Not yet. Everything changed on a Friday morning in the 6th week. That morning when I woke up, the house was quiet, quieter than usual. Rodrigo and Beatrice usually woke up early and had breakfast, but that morning, there was no sound. I got out of bed. When I opened the bedroom door, I saw that the guest room door was slightly ajar. There were sounds coming from inside. Whispers. I approached. Listening closely, I heard Rodrigo and Beatrice's voices. "We'll meet with the lawyer this week," said Rodrigo. "The documents for the power of attorney are ready. We have Dr. Morales' report. There are no more problems now." "Are you sure?" said Beatrice. "What if Sol doesn't agree?" "She'll have to agree," said Rodrigo. There was a coldness in his voice. "The doctor's report is sufficient. Sol is not cognitively competent. The court will grant us power of attorney." "What about the bonds?" asked Beatrice. "We'll take those too. They're all considered marital property. There's no proof Sol accumulated them alone." "What about Daniela?" "She's suspicious." "Daniela can't do anything," said Rodrigo. "She's just a niece. She has no legal right. We are Sol's legal spouse and guardian here." Beatrice laughed. That laugh froze me inside. "So you were right, Rodrigo. Sol's illness was actually a chance for us." "Yes," said Rodrigo. "It's a good thing she was diagnosed. Otherwise, that woman would have kept that money forever." When I heard that sentence, I felt like I had been knocked to the ground. My knees trembled. I held onto the wall with my hand, because in that moment, everything became clear. This was no coincidence. It wasn't even a plan. It was a hunt, and I was the prey. I turned back. I entered my bedroom. I closed the door quietly. Then I sat down on the bed. My hands were shaking. I couldn't breathe. For years, I helped them. I took Beatrice into my home. I kept Rodrigo going during his crises. I raised Daniela. And now, these two people see my illness as an opportunity. They are using my pain, my fear, my helplessness as an opportunity. At that moment, something inside me broke, but at the same time, something was built. An anger, a determination, a clarity. I took a deep breath. Then I stood up. I looked in the mirror. I looked into my eyes. "Sul," I said to myself, "you're not sick. You're not stupid. You're not weak. You're a woman who worked at IMSS for 27 years, who knows every legal loophole, who archives every document. And now, these people who are trying to hunt you down have made their biggest mistake." What mistake? They really thought you were forgetful. That morning, as my heart raced, I remembered something. Years ago, my colleague at IMSS, Teresa, had said to me, "Sol, you always take notes. You back everything up. If you ever get into trouble, those notes will save you." Teresa, la consejera, my old work friend. She had retired, but we still talked. When was the last time I spoke to her? Months ago. Maybe more. But I remembered something. Teresa had once told me, "Sul, if one day your phone is taken away, you have a spare key at my house." Remember, this was proof that I trusted her in a moment of loss, a moment of chaos. That moment suddenly came to mind. Teresa's house. It was 20 minutes away from here, and I could go there. Because Rodrigo and Beatrice thought I couldn't go out anymore. But I could. I could still go out. That morning, I got dressed quietly. In the back corner of the closet, there was an old bag. I remembered there was still some cash in it. I took the bag. I checked my wallet. Yes, I had money. Then I walked quietly to the front door. Rodrigo and Beatrice were still in the guest room. They were still whispering. I walked past the kitchen door and unlocked the door. Rodrigo and Beatrice had never imagined that someone with Alzheimer's could go out into the street and make a plan. I opened the door. I went outside. The sun hit my face. How long had it been since I'd been outside? I didn't know. But in that moment, I tasted freedom. I started walking. The addresses were still clear in my head. Street names, turning points. Because I didn't forget. Maybe I forgot some small details, but I never forgot the important things, the vital things. 20 minutes later, I was in front of Teresa's house. I knocked on the door. Teresa opened it. She was surprised to see me. "Sol," she said, "is that you? My God, I haven't seen you in so long." "Teresa," I said, my voice trembling, "I need your help." She let me in. We sat in the living room. I told her everything about Rodrigo, Beatrice, my illness, the safe, the power of attorney, everything. Teresa listened, her eyes filled with tears. "Those bastards," she said, "those damn bastards." "What should I do, Teresa?" I said. "I have nothing left. They have my documents. They control my money. I don't even have a phone." Teresa took my hand. "Sul, you're my smartest friend. You worked at IMSS for 27 years. You know every document, every loophole. If they're trying to steal from you, you can teach them a lesson." "How?" "Daniela," said Teresa. "Reach out to her. She's your most loyal ally, and I'll help you, because I still have my old connections at IMSS. If Rodrigo tries to take your bonds, we can stop him." At that moment, a glimmer of hope lit up inside me. "Really?" "Really," said Teresa. "But first we have to reach Daniela. That girl will fight for you." Teresa gave me her phone. I dialed Daniela's number. "Hello?" said Daniela. "Daniela," I said, "it's Tia Sol." Tia, said Daniela, surprised. Where are you calling from? Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, and I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Meet me tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock at Teresa's house. Rodrigo and Beatriz mustn't know. Tia, what's going on? I'll tell you tomorrow, I said. But know this, I haven't forgotten anything, and they made a huge mistake. I hung up the phone. Teresa looked at me. Sul, are you really going to fight them? Yes, I said. My voice was firm, because I am Sul. I worked at IMSS for 27 years. I know every document, every legal loophole, and now that knowledge will be used against them. That day, at Teresa's house, we started making a plan for revenge. But not just revenge, a plan for justice. Because Rodrigo and Beatriz thought I was weak. They thought I was sick. They thought I had no memory. But they forgot one thing. I am an archivist. And archivists never forget. That day, as I walked home, I felt something new inside me. I was no longer the victim. I was the hunter, and they would realize this too late. Rodrigo and Beatriz saw my illness as a lucky break, but the real luck was mine, because they thought they had finished me off completely, but I was just getting started. When I returned home that evening, Rodrigo and Beatriz didn't even notice me. It was as if I wasn't there, but it didn't matter anymore, because I was no longer an invisible woman. I was a warrior, planning her revenge. The next morning, as I walked towards Teresa's house, my steps were heavy. With every step, a hesitation. At every corner, a pause. Should I really do this? I asked myself. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Rodrigo and Beatriz are really trying to help me. But then I remembered that conversation that morning. Sol's illness was an opportunity for us. Those words, those cold, calculating words. When I arrived at Teresa's house, Daniela was already there. She ran up and hugged me when she saw me. Tia, she said, I was so worried. I looked at her. This young woman, 28 years old, had grown up in my arms after losing her mother. I had paid for her college. I had cried at her graduation. She was my daughter, my real daughter. And now, what would I tell her? Daniela, my husband and my closest friend are trying to exploit me, and I'm plotting revenge against them. I hesitated. Maybe I shouldn't say anything. Maybe I should just accept this situation. I'm an old woman. Maybe I really am sick. Maybe this is paranoia. But Daniela looked into my eyes, and in that moment, what I saw in her eyes shook me. Concern, deep, genuine concern. She was worried about me. Real concern. The kind of concern I never saw in Rodrigo's or Beatriz's eyes. Auntie, said Daniela, what happened to me? Please tell me, and I told her. Everything. The safe, the power of attorney, the phone, that morning's conversation. Everything. As Daniela listened, her face changed. First shock, then disbelief, then anger. Those bastards, she said, her voice trembling. Those damn bastards. You gave them everything. Everything. I know, I said. My voice was gone. So what are we going to do? Asked Daniela. Should we go to the police? Teresa interrupted. The police can't do anything, not yet, because Rodrigo is legally Sol's husband, and he hasn't gotten the power of attorney yet. For now, he's only got the documents. That's not legally a crime. So what can we do? Said Daniela. I took a deep breath. Revenge, I said. But legal revenge. Beat them at their own game. Daniela looked at me. How? And right then, in that moment of hesitation, something happened. There was a heaviness in my heart, because I knew if I went down this road, there would be no turning back. My 23-year marriage to Rodrigo, my 25-year friendship with Beatriz, it would all be over, completely over. But hadn't it already ended? In their conversation that morning, They had already buried me. I was just a tool to them now. An ATM, a sick woman, an obstacle. "Tia?" said Daniela. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said. But I wasn't fine, because there was still mercy inside me, still a shred of hope. Maybe Rodrigo really loved me, but also wanted the money. Maybe Beatrice was really my friend, but was having a moment of weakness. No. Number. These thoughts were weakening me. That evening when I got home, I saw something. In the living room on the table, there was an old photo album. It was open, as if someone had been looking through it and then forgotten. I approached it. Inside the album were our old photos, Rodrigo and me, our wedding photos, 2002. I was 29, he was 30. How young we were. How happy we were. In one photo, Rodrigo was looking at me. There was something in his eyes. Love, maybe, or maybe just happiness. Back then, everything was simpler. There was no money, but there was love. Or so I thought. I touched that photo. My fingertips traced Rodrigo's face. This man once told me, "You are my everything, Saul." This man once held my hand and said, "I will grow old with you." And now, the same man shares his bed with another woman. The same man is planning to steal my money. The same man sees my illness as a lucky break. At that moment, a feeling of pity welled up inside me. Maybe that man was still there. Maybe the old Rodrigo was still under Beatrice's influence. Maybe if I could reach him, everything would be okay. I closed the album. I went to my bedroom. I sat on the bed. My hands were shaking. Maybe I should talk to him again, I thought. Maybe I should ask him, "Rodrigo, what are you doing?" "I'm your wife. Don't you love me anymore?" But then, that conversation came to mind. Soul's illness is a chance for us. Rodrigo had said that sentence, not Beatrice. Rodrigo. And that sentence said it all. That sentence summed up our 23-year marriage. I was an opportunity for him. At first, an opportunity for stability. Now, a financial opportunity. That night, I cried. But this time, I wasn't just crying out of sadness. I was also crying out of anger. The next day, Teresa and Daniela met again. Teresa handed me an envelope. "What's this?" I asked. "An old letter Beatrice wrote to you," Teresa said. "You gave it to me years ago to keep. Remember?" No, I didn't remember. But I took the envelope. I opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter, Beatrice's handwriting. Date, March 15th, 1998. Dear Saul, today was the worst day of my life. My landlord kicked me out of my apartment. I had no money left. I was going to be on the street. But you took me into your home. You gave me food. You gave me a future. Saul, you are more than my real sister. You are my savior, and I will never forget this kindness. I will remain loyal to you for the rest of my life, because you are everything to me. Forever yours, Beatrice. As I read that letter, my hands trembled. My eyes filled with tears, because those words were once true. Beatrice had written those words sincerely. Back then, that young, helpless woman was truly grateful. But what had happened now? That grateful woman is now sleeping in my house, in my husband's bed. That loyal woman is now planning to steal my money. Do people change? Or are people always the same, only the opportunities change? At that moment, a battle raged inside me. On one side, the compassion I felt for the old Beatrice. On the other side, the anger I felt for the current Beatrice. Which was real? Both. Both were real. Daniela took my hand. "Tia," she said, "that letter is in the past. Now you have to look at today. Today, Beatrice is using you. Today, she is trying to kill you." "Kill me?" I said. "She's not killing me. She's just taking my money." "Tia," Teresa said, her voice firm, "she is killing your soul. She's killing your honor. She's killing your freedom. That is worse than physical death." That sentence shook me, because she was right. I was slowly dying. Every day, a little more. Every medication, every checkup, every humiliation, all of it was killing me. And in that moment, the mercy inside me died. In its place came pure rage. "Okay," I said. My voice was firm. "I'll get revenge." "But how?" Teresa asked me. "Soul, you worked at IMSS for years. You must have left something there. A backup document, a copy, something." I thought about it. Yes. For years, I had made copies of every important document, every bond purchase, every bank transaction, every private account transfer. I archived them all. "But," I said, "those documents were in my safe, and Rodrigo took the safe." "Isn't there another backup?" Daniela asked. "Another backup," I thought. Then I remembered. "Daniela," I said, "there's a box at your house. Remember? Years ago, I gave you a special box. It had your mother's photos in it." "Yes," said Daniela. "I still have it." "At the bottom of that box," I said, "there's a brown envelope. Open that envelope. There's a key inside." "A key? What key?" "In my old IMSS office, there was an old and unused locked drawer. After I retired, I know they forgot to change the lock on that drawer." "Teresa, you know that, right?" Teresa nodded. "Yes. A young secretary now works at your old desk, but the old furniture is still the same. And yes, they didn't change those old system locks very often." "Open that drawer," I told Daniela. Inside, there's a notebook. An old notebook with a brown cover. That notebook contains all my financial transactions from the last 10 years. Every bond purchase, every special account, every transfer. It's all there. Daniela's eyes lit up. "Is this proof?" "Yes," I said. "This is proof that I accumulated those bonds on my own. Rodrigo's signature isn't there, because those transactions started before the marriage, and during the marriage, I continued them through my own private efforts. According to Mexican law, these bonds are not marital property. They are my private property." Teresa smiled. "Soul, you're still a genius." Teresa asked me, "So what's the plan? Is finding the documents enough?" "No," I said. "The documents are just the first step. The second step is to prevent Rodrigo from getting power of attorney." "How?" "Can you still talk to your old friends at IMSS?" I asked Teresa. "Yes." "Why?" "Because," I said, "Rodrigo will get power of attorney based on the doctor's report. But if there is another doctor's report, one that says I have sufficient cognitive capacity, then the court will not grant power of attorney." "But Dr. Morales already gave the report," said Daniela. "Dr. Morales was my personal doctor," I said. "But IMSS has its own doctors. There's a special health unit for retired civil servants. If I get a report from there and that report contradicts Dr. Morales' report, the court will evaluate both, and it will hesitate." Teresa understood. "So, you'll get a report from one of the IMSS doctors." "Yes, but I can't go alone, because Rodrigo and Beatriz follow me everywhere." "Will you come with me?" "Of course," said Teresa. "And I'll tell my old friends. They'll support you." "What about Rodrigo?" asked Daniela. "What if he finds out you went to the IMSS?" "He won't find out," I said, "because I'll tell him something else. I'll say, I'm going shopping with Teresa. He'll believe it, because in his eyes, I'm now a harmless woman." Teresa looked at me. "Soul, are you really ready to do this?" "Because it will be very tiring. And emotionally, very difficult." I looked at her. I looked into her eyes. "Teresa," I said, "I worked at IMSS for 27 years. I archived every document. I learned every legal loophole. That knowledge will save me now. Yes, it will be exhausting. Yes, it will be difficult. But I have to do it, because if I don't, Rodrigo and Beatriz will steal my whole life, and I cannot stand by and watch that happen." Daniela asked, So what will be in those envelopes? 3 types of envelopes, I said. The first type, evidence of Rodrigo and Beatrice's relationship. Photos, messages, witness statements. I gathered these over the last few weeks because they thought I wasn't watching them. But I saw everything. The second type? Teresa asked. The second type, my financial documents, about how the bonds were accumulated. This will disprove Rodrigo's claim of marital property. The third type? The third type, I said, my voice cracking. A letter I wrote, addressed to the guests. In that letter, I will explain what Rodrigo and Beatrice did to me, but not in an emotional tone, in a cold, clear, documented tone. Because if I use emotions, they will say, the ravings of a sick woman. But if I use documents, no one can deny it. Daniela hugged me. Tia, you're so strong. No, I said. I'm not strong. I'm just trying to survive. That night, as I left Teresa's house, I looked up at the sky. The stars were shining, and I felt a sense of determination inside me. This plan was very complicated, very risky, but I had no other choice, because I was no longer a victim. I was a fighter. Rodrigo and Beatrice thought I was weak, but they forgot. Weakness isn't always visible. Sometimes the person who seems weak is the one hiding the most powerful weapons. And my weapon was knowledge, the knowledge I had gained during my 27 years at IMSS. That knowledge would now destroy them. When I returned home, Rodrigo and Beatrice were watching television. When they saw me, Rodrigo asked, "Where were you, Sol?" "I was shopping with Teresa," I said, smiling. "I got some fresh air." "Good," he said. "It'll do you good." He looked at me with that smile, that fake interest, and I thought to myself, in 2 weeks, that smile will be wiped off his face. That night, lying in my bed, I slept peacefully for the first time, because now I had a plan, and that plan was perfect. Daniela would find the key tomorrow. Teresa would reach out to her old IMSS friends, and in 2 weeks, I would humiliate Rodrigo and Beatrice in front of everyone. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, and I was preparing the coldest revenge because I am Sol, and I don't forget. 2 weeks later, on the evening of November 15th, our house was filled with guests. Rodrigo had prepared everything perfectly for my birthday. Or so it seemed. Our living room was decorated with pink and white balloons. On the table stood a 3-tiered cake. It read, Sol, 52 years old. The guests had arrived. Rodrigo's co-workers, neighbors, my former colleagues from IMSS. About 30 people. And of course, Teresa and Daniela were there too. Rodrigo hugged me in front of everyone. "Welcome, everyone," he said loudly. "Today is my beloved wife's 52nd birthday. Sol, you are the meaning of my life." He turned to me and smiled. That smile seemed very sincere, but I now knew the lie behind that smile. Beatrice was standing next to me. In her role as the full-time caregiver with a tray in her hand, she offered me a glass of water. "Sol, you haven't taken your medicine," she said loudly so everyone could hear. She turned to the guests. "Sol has Alzheimer's. Sometimes he forgets. But don't worry, I'm here." The guests looked at me with pity. "How sad," said one. "But how lucky you are, Sol, to have such a devoted husband and friend by your side." A fire burned inside me. When I heard those words, I could smell a big lie. But I smiled, because it wasn't time yet. Not yet. Dinner was served. Everyone ate, drank, and chatted. I sat at the head of the table, silently. Rodrigo stood beside me, holding my hand. Camera flashes went off. "What a beautiful couple," someone said. After dinner, Rodrigo stood up. "Now," he said, "it's time to play our traditional game. Every year, on Sol's birthday, we play the Family Memories game. There are envelopes in the box. Each envelope contains a memory. We'll open them one by one and remember that memory. It's good exercise for Sol's memory." The guests applauded. Rodrigo brought out a box, a red, ornate box. But I knew that box no longer contained the envelopes Rodrigo had prepared. Because last night, Daniela had secretly changed the contents of that box. Now it contained the envelopes we had prepared. "Who wants to start?" Rodrigo asked. Teresa raised her hand. "Me," she said. She stood up and approached the box. She took the first envelope. She opened it. She took out a photo and read aloud. 2017, Valentine's Day. Rodrigo and Beatriz in Acapulco. The room suddenly fell silent. Teresa held the photo up in the air. The guests looked. In the photo, Rodrigo and Beatriz were on a beach, embracing. They were kissing. The date stamp was at the bottom of the photo. February 14th, 2017. Rodrigo's face turned white. This is a misunderstanding," he said. "A misunderstanding?" said Teresa, her voice sharp. "The date is very clear. Valentine's Day, 2017. At that time, you were married." To Sol, Beatriz jumped up. "This photo is fake. Who put it there?" "Fake?" I said, raising my voice for the first time. I stood up. Everyone in the room turned to look at me. "I took that photo, Beatriz." "No, sorry, I didn't take it. But that photo was taken by the hotel clerk in Acapulco, and I found that hotel from the credit card records. Rodrigo told me he was on a business trip that weekend, but in reality, he was in Acapulco with you." Rodrigo looked at me. There was panic in his eyes. "Sol, you're a sick woman. You're confused." "Confused?" I said. I turned to Daniela. "Daniela, open the second envelope." Daniela took the second envelope out of the box. She opened it. She took out a document. She read aloud, "IMSS Bond Purchase Certificate, 2005. Sol Rodriguez individually purchased high-interest government bonds. Signature, Sol Rodriguez. Rodrigo Martinez's signature is not present." Daniela showed the document to the guests. "This," she said, "is the first document of the bonds Tia Sol accumulated during the marriage. Only her signature is on it, not Rodrigo's. According to Mexican law, these bonds are not marital property. They are Sol's personal property." A neighbor looked at Rodrigo. "Rodrigo, were you trying to take Sol's money?" "No," said Rodrigo. I was just trying to help her." "Help?" I said. My voice was trembling, but not from fear anymore, from anger. "You and Beatriz talked in the guest room 6 weeks ago. I heard you. Sol's illness is an opportunity for us, you said, Rodrigo. You said that. I heard you that morning. Everyone in the living room listened, shocked and silent." Teresa took the third envelope. She opened it. She took out another document. "IM's Health Unit Report," she said. "Date, November 10th, Dr. Elena Vasquez. A cognitive assessment of patient Sol Rodriguez has been performed. Result, mild memory loss is present, but cognitive competence is sufficient for all legal proceedings. The patient has the capacity to make his own decisions." Teresa held the document toward Rodrigo. "This," she said, "is proof that Sol, you, and Dr. Morales lied. Sol is not ill. He is only in the early stages of mild Alzheimer's, and he can still make his own decisions. You were trying to steal his money by taking power of attorney over him." Rodrigo collapsed, literally collapsed into his chair. He buried his face in his hands. Beatriz tried to run away, but Daniela blocked her way. "No, Beatriz," she said. "You can't run away, because the fourth envelope is waiting for you." Daniela took the last envelope. She opened it. She took out a letter. "This," she said, "is a letter Tia Sol wrote to all of you." Daniela read the letter aloud. "Dear guests, today is my 52nd birthday, and today I want to tell you the truth. I, Sol Rodriguez, worked at IMSS For 27 years, I archived every document. I learned every legal loophole. Over the years, I accumulated wealth, bonds, bills, private accounts, all through my own efforts. But 6 weeks ago, my husband and my closest friend turned me into an opportunity. They saw my Alzheimer's diagnosis as a tool to steal my money. Today, I am showing you the evidence because I can no longer tolerate silence. I am not a victim. I am a survivor, and I have a message for you. Old women are not weak. Sick women are not worthless. We are still here. We are still fighting, and we can win. Thank you. Saul Rodriguez. When Daniela finished the letter, there was a deep silence in the room. Then someone began to clap. Teresa. Then a neighbor. Then others. And suddenly, the room was filled with applause. Rodrigo raised his head. His eyes were filled with tears. Saul, he said. You what? I said. My voice was cold. Are you going to apologize? You lived off my money for 23 years, off my sacrifice, and now you try to exploit me. An apology isn't enough. Rodrigo Beatriz began to cry. Saul, please, You what? I said. I turned to her. You were my sister, Beatriz. I gave you a home. I gave you a future. And you stole my husband. You slept with him in my house, in my bed, under the same roof as me. You are the definition of betrayal. Beatrice couldn't say anything. She just cried. At that moment, something stirred inside me. Victory? Partly. But there was also a deep sadness, because these people were once my family. And now, I had destroyed them. But I had to do it, because if I hadn't, they would have destroyed me. The guests slowly began to leave. No one looked at Rodrigo or Beatriz. They were now invisible people. They had been disgraced. The next day, Rodrigo and Beatriz left the house. Rodrigo took some clothes and moved into a hotel. Beatriz, with tears streaming from her eyes, walked out the door with her blue suitcase. None of them looked at me. A week later, my lawyer informed me Rodrigo had filed for divorce, but in that case, he couldn't claim any division of property because the documents proved everything. The bonds were my personal property. The house was in my name, and the power of attorney plan was rejected by the court because the new report I received from IMSS confirmed my cognitive competence. Beatrice lost her job at IMSS because Teresa had told her old friends everything, and due to the ethical violation, Beatrice was asked to resign. Dr. Morales faced an investigation. It was alleged that he had given Rodrigo a false report in exchange for money. But I was now beyond revenge, because I no longer thought about them. They were in the past. I was looking to the future. 2 months later, on a cold December morning, Daniela and I went to the IMSS building. We stopped in front of my old office. There was a new name on the door, Maria Gonzalez, secretary. But the desk was still the same desk, that old wooden scratched desk. We went inside. A young woman was sitting at the desk. She smiled when she saw me. How can I help you? I'm Saul Rodriguez, I said. I worked at this desk for years. I just wanted to see a memory. Maria stood up. Are you Saul? She said, her eyes lighting up. My boss always talks about you. You're the legendary archivist. I smiled. Legendary? Number. Just meticulous. That day, in the old IMSS building, I met my colleagues. They welcomed me, hugged me. Saul, we missed you, they said. We want you back. Back? I said. I'm retired. But, said my director, we want to offer you a consultancy position. To teach your knowledge to the young secretaries, 2 days a week, a few hours. What do you say? When I heard that offer, my heart started racing, because it wasn't just a job offer. It was proof that I was valuable, that I was still needed. I accept, I said. Epilogue. A year later, Daniela got married. At the wedding, I walked her down the aisle, because she was my daughter. Rodrigo wasn't invited. Neither was Beatriz. They were no longer part of our lives. But Teresa was there. My old friends from IMSS were there. And that day, I realized I had a real family. A family not bound by blood, but by loyalty.